All right, so in this video here, what I'm going to do is walk you through four problems in Khan Academy. And the particular skill that we're working on here is evaluating functions from their graph. If you've seen the previous video of mine, I did mention briefly that functions are no different than other aspects of mathematics. They can still be represented in tables. They can still be represented in graphs, in equation form. In this case, we're going to be looking at functions being represented in graphs. So the entire idea of a function really, there's many aspects to it, but I'll simplify it down to this, is it has to do with the idea of you have an input, and for every input, you get exactly one output. So in this case, we have not a lot of instructions on the screen. So I can see where somebody would maybe get a little confused as to, what is Khan Academy asking me to do? What they're asking you to do is to evaluate this function, the function being the one on the graph, um, at a certain input value. And so here's what they're asking on this one. Let me turn on my little writing tool here. You have h of -7 right here, h of -7. What they're saying is take the h function and input -7 into the h function. The h function is pretty easy to find on this in this graph because there's only one thing being plotted, but you can see right here it says h, and that means that this is the h function. So that line that you're seeing there on the graph, that is the h function. What you're going to do is you're going to go to the input of -7. So one of the most important things that you need to understand, especially starting out with this stuff, is you have an x-axis and you have a y-axis. Your x-axis is always your input. That never changes. Your x-axis is always going to be your independent variable, and it's always your input. Your y is always going to be your output. Your y-axis is always going to be your dependent variable, which means it's the output. The words independent and dependent mean the dependent variable depends on what the independent variable is. So the independent variable is the one in charge of things. And that makes sense also from this idea of input and output, because the dependent variable is an output. It is the number that is the result of whatever happened based upon the input. So the input is the one that's really in control, and that's why we oftentimes care a whole lot more about the x value and the x-axis in math than we do about the y value. In this case, we have h of -7, which is what they're saying is take that h function, go find the input -7, and tell us what is the output. So on the x-axis, which is the input, right? On the x-axis, we need to go find -7 on that number line, which would be all the way over here in negative land. Then go find the h function at -7. So I'm going to go find the function down below, which is down here in blue. And it looks like there is the h function at x is -7. And then your job is just to find out what's the y value, what's the output. And it's pretty easy to do that. You just go ahead and we went vertically down. Now let's just go horizontally over. And it looks like it's a y value of -6. So in the beginning, it starts off kind of maybe intimidating. Let me get this out of the way, or maybe tomorrow. There you go. Intimidating, but once you get past the notation of what are they asking me to do, this is actually no different than in 6th grade when you first learn about coordinates. You're being told an x value, and they just want you to find what's the y value. That's really all that they're being asked, that you're being asked to do. So our answer here is -6. Let's do 3 more of these problems together. Clear off that drawing of mine and get all set up. This thing's in the way. There you go. H of -5. They're saying take the h function and at an input of -5, find out what is your output. So here's the h function. We know it's the h function because it's labeled. We're going to go ahead and go to -5 on the input values, on the x values. Go find the h function, which is right there. So that's the point we're really talking about. At that point right there, the input is -5. So what's the output? The output is -2. And there's another problem. Let's do 2 more. Clear off my drawing. All right, we have h of 6. So we're going to find the h function. We know it's the h function because it's right there. And we also know that on the graph, that's the h function right there. They labeled it. And they want us to have an input value of 6. So on the x-axis, I go over to 6. Then I go find the h function, which is right there. That's the point that we're working with, and that's the point that we're trying to find. The y value at that point is 8. So the input value being 6, the output would be 8. And we'll just do one more here. Let's see, clear that out. And here we go. The problem says find f of 2. Take the f function. We know that's the f function. Go to an input value of 2. And then determine where is the f function. It looks like it's down here. And what is the output at that point? The output is -2. So our answer to this problem is -2. From my experience working with students, this is actually a really easy concept. Once it clicks like what you're being asked to do, usually I see students being very proficient at this very quickly. If you're still struggling on it, keep in mind in Khan Academy, they do have the built-in tools there to help. So if my video is not helping you and you're still struggling with this, come down below. It says see a step-by-step solution, and they'll walk you through in a different way, to try to find what the answer is. I'm very confident that you've got this and you guys will be very successful. All right, have a great day.